Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6. And firstly, before we get into the rest of the video, I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas. This is probably my last video before it hits Christmas in Australia at least. So yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. If you don't celebrate Christmas, then just happy holidays. Hopefully everyone has a good time. Whatever you're doing, whether it's with family, friends, or just other activities, hopefully have a good time. Stay safe and yeah, enjoy. So over the years and history of not just the Flash, but the Arrowverse in general and as a whole, we've had various teasers to Crisis on Infinite Earths and potential events or characters we could see show up or take place during this, well, big epic crossover event. But mainly, most of these have come from the Flash, the Flash's side of the universe, as that show, or he, was said to be the main focus of the event back in the day, even though that sort of has changed now. Obviously, over the years of the show, there have been various characters that were intended to show up, and fight in the events, basing that off the newspaper articles we had seen over the seasons. But one character that was, always present in all incarnations of the newspaper article from the future, but someone we are yet to see show up, is that of Barry's arch nemesis, that of course being the Reverse Flash. Now, Eobard Thawne, aka the Reverse Flash, is said to show up in what looks to be Part 4 of Crisis on Infinite Earths, which will be airing on the 14th of January, followed by Part 5 on the same night. But many people have been asking, how is he turning up, seeing that the multiverse was destroyed? How the hell is he still alive? Well, that is what we're going to be going over in this video, as well as some other little things as well. But of course, throughout the video, it would be awesome if you guys could let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions and all that, and how you see things. What's your perspective on this situation? Of course, if you're going to enjoy the video and you're just excited for what's to come, why not drop a like on the video to show your support and excitement. Now, to jump into all of this, we have to sort of chuck a rewind of things and go back a bit, and by a bit, I mean back to the end of Season 5 of The Flash, so last season. So throughout Season 5, we saw Eobard Thawne in the future, locked up in Iron Heights, and pretty much playing Nora for a fool, and making her going back and, destroying the one thing keeping him at bay, and on track to being, executed, that of course being Sakata's dagger. Of course, once the dagger was destroyed, we saw Eobard Thawne troll his way back to 2019, if you want to call it, to mess with Team Flash, but mainly Barry and Nora. But as Nora is being disintegrated and erased from the timeline due to the changes made by the dagger being destroyed, we do see Eobard Thawne get away. But this isn't before telling Barry that he will see him in their next crisis, obviously alluding to the Infinite Earths variety. And since that point, people have been wondering when will that tease play out? And thanks to the trailer for parts 4 and 5, we know Reverse Flash is coming back in some way. But the big question, as I said before, and as the title most likely says, how is that possible? How is he alive and how is he showing up in Crisis after the multiverse was destroyed? And I think the main reason that Eobard Thawne is, still alive for parts 4 and 5 of Crisis, or at least part 4, as that seems it is the episode he is in, is the same reason we haven't seen him since that point at the end of Season 5, outside of that weird, trippy moment thing, and I think it was episode 7 for this season, the Bloodwork thing, we saw Reverse Flash quickly, and that is the Speed Force. Well, the negative Speed Force technically, but I'm just going to call it the Speed Force throughout the video, so it's just a bit easier. So when Eobard, ran off last season, a lot of people were wondering where he ran off to, and you could easily say, oh, he went to the future, because that's where he's from, but technically at that point in time, the timeline has changed, so Eobard should really be unable to run to the future where he's from due to the antimatter wave that was blocking anything from beyond the point the crisis went down, like we saw Barry run into earlier in the season. And yes, I know at that point that hadn't really been established, but let's just go with it as it works with what I'm going to say, and technically it should make sense. So, okay, we all good with that? Okay, let's move on. So, without access to the future, the Speed Force is the best place for Eobard to go, especially if he was aware of the impending crisis and when it was, meant to go down, when it was going to occur. And with the Speed Force, even though there are some different, interpretations, I guess you could call it, of it, here and there over the, the past and, from the point in the comics in which it was introduced, for the most part, the Speed Force exists out of space and time, that including the multiverse. So with the multiverse destroyed, the Speed Force remains untouched and intact. So if anyone were to be within the Speed Force at the point of the antimatter attack, whether it be, hiding in there and chilling or simply just running back and forth through time, they should be safe. The same would go with changing timelines. Being in the Speed Force would make you unaffected through it, which we have heard from Reverse Flash in the past. So anyone that's in there should be safe from, anything ranging from an antimatter attack to timeline changes. If you're in the Speed Force, you should be good. So this would be the logical place to assume that Reverse Flash has been, and also how he will play into Crisis when he does show up. As we know from the trailer, thanks to what like that version of Oliver tells Barry, we will be in the Speed Force at one point when we do come back. Whether this is for something that Barry has to do specifically, or another reason, you know, for us to find out. But when we do see Reverse Flash running in the trailer, even though it's very quick, it sort of looks like he could be running in a Speed Force looking area. It could just be a dark area that's really lit up through the lightning, but it sort of looks like what the Speed Force can look like. In the Crisis comics, there is a battle between, you know, some villains, so this could maybe be a part of that, but it is hard to tell whether we will get that in the TV version of Crisis, as they have changed certain things to, you know, fit it into the Arrowverse, and also what happened in the comics didn't really happen in the show. Like, there's still Earths that remain. The whole multiverse wasn't destroyed in the comics, so they've already changed it up in a pretty big way. So we might not get that series of events exactly in regards to the villains, but something with the Reverse Flash is going down, so I'm excited to see what they do. Because hopefully it's worth it, you know, because he was meant to be a big part of it, so hopefully, even if he isn't the biggest part of it, they do something that's like somewhat memorable. But yeah, to end off the video, or for the last part of the video, I thought I'd go over some questions from you guys. So if you do have any questions to ask or leave, let me know in the comment section down below, and I might include them in videos in the future. Obviously, we've got about 3 weeks, or just over 3 weeks, until Crisis comes back, which commences the back half of the seasons for all the shows. So if you have any questions about any of the shows, really, include them in the comments and they might get answered. So the first one simply comes from Mr. B, which is a very mysterious name, with the question, what spin-off shows could Flash do when it ends? I personally would like a spin-off show with Ralph Dibny / Elongated Man. In regards to Flash, like, spin-offs, I don't know if it necessarily has to be Flash. In regards to, like, just Arrowverse spin-offs or shows introduced into the Arrowverse, a Ralph Dibny show would be interesting, but my big thought around spin-offs and which ones you should introduce are ones that have some form of lifespan. So that's why I've always got a big question mark about the Green Arrow and the Canary show coming in, because to me, when I think about that show, I can only think of like 3 seasons worth of storylines max, because there's not much growth that those characters can do. Because either a lot of the characters have been there for seasons, or, you know, the characters that don't really have that much growth potential that will be, you know, quote unquote newer characters brought in. So I don't know, like, obviously there's a plethora of characters they can bring in from DC into the shows, but you want one that can have like around a 4 or 5 season plan, and like a Ralph Dibny show, I can't see that. Obviously, like a Blue Beetle show would be cool. I think you have to go with like the classic one, not the newer one, just because of budget. But a Blue Beetle show would be cool. Obviously, the Green Lantern show we're getting on HBO Max is going to be cool as well. I know, like, anything that was sort of, I wouldn't mind like sort of like a Young Justice show. I think that'd be fairly cool, and I think it could work as well. And I think it'd be very good on the CW. I think it's probably the best place to do it. That's probably my number one type of show, like a Young Justice sort of show. Like, it's like sort of like Teen Titans, but just like a younger version of Justice League, where it doesn't really have to have those like Teen Titans specific characters, if you know what I mean. So yeah. Band plays, is Psycho Pirate in this crossover at all? No clue, but if he was going to be in there, he should have already been in there. Like, pretty much the point in which he plays a big role has happened, and so the fact that he hasn't shown up yet means he probably won't be in it. It's weird. I don't understand his introduction into Elseworlds then, outside of repeating the line from the, you know, that he says in Crisis. So I don't understand why they brought him into Elseworlds if they weren't going to use him in Crisis. It was a weird thing, weird casting. Maybe they just couldn't get the actor back or something. I have no idea, but he won't be in there, or at least he shouldn't be, because we've gone past where he should have showed up. Todd Man, can you do a video explaining the Crisis comic, please? Now, a lot of people have asked me to. I'm going to assume this question is asking about the Tyne comic. If it's about the entire comic, then I could do it, I guess, after, explain the differences. But people have been asking me to do a video on the Crisis Tyne comic. I can't get it. There was one place in Australia that had it, or was meant to get it, and they either didn't get it or they sold out really quickly. You can't get it online. Comixology doesn't have it. It seemed like you could only get it from certain department stores in America, which I find the weirdest release strategy of all time, because so many people that want to read it can't read it. You can't even read it illegally. You can't even go into the like illegal comic sites and read it. It's not there. So if I can eventually get it, I will try and do a video on it, but I'm pretty much getting all the information from it, from articles. You know, it's like the clickbaity websites use. And even then, I'm not getting a clear picture on what went down. So it's pretty much impossible for me to do it at the moment, because I can't get it. And even people in America that go to the shops can't get it, because they only supply them with limited amounts. So weird release strategy. Hardly anyone's read it. What was the point of releasing it then anyway? And then the last question comes from N. Ross, and they asked, Danielle Panabaker's pregnancy in relation to the show. They were just asking, I guess that's a question without a question mark and a real sign that's a question. But anyway, people have been asking about this in regards to her pregnancy affecting the show. It seems that she'll finish off the season. They finish filming the season around like March, April. I think it's early April. So she won't have to give birth until like around maybe like, I think it's like towards the end of April or May or something. So the only thing that will affect her place on the show is probably the beginning of next season, and they might get her to film an extra scene or two to finish off the season that they can use at the beginning of next season to explain why Caitlyn isn't there. So it could be like her on holiday or something like that, because she'll probably need like another month or so to for paternity leave. So we don't expect her to be gone for too long. I doubt it'll be at the end of this season unless she gives birth early. It's probably going to be at the beginning of next season, and it'll only be like an episode, like probably 2 episodes, maybe 3 at the max, but I'd say 2. And they'll probably record a scene or 2 before she gives birth to use then to explain why she's gone. And on the show, when she's getting pregnant this season, you can already tell she's pregnant. She's wearing loose clothing. So you'll see that a lot with Caitlyn or Killer Frost this season. She'll be wearing a lot of loose clothing. So yeah. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and it shows support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over. And yeah, it would be awesome if you could do that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.